Monotony. It comes in all shapes and sizes. Dull, tedious, just plain boring. But what is this? A contender, perhaps? Something unboring by the looks of it. Jabs right at dull, an uppercut to tedium, something that keeps you on your toes, keeps your head on a swivel, a knockout punch to your old, boring workouts. Welcome to Fight Camp.
Every day, women fight uphill battles.
Not because they lack talent, not because they aren't trying hard enough.
The field itself is the challenge.
Over 676 million women live within 30 miles of war.
Women deliver most of the world's healthcare, but hold only 25% of leadership.
Working women spend nearly twice as much time on childcare and housework as men.
74% of women athletes work extra jobs to make ends meet.
When we level the playing field, women don't just succeed, they challenge everything.
And as they rise, they bring their communities with them.
Equality isn't a dream, it's a choice.
This International Women's Day, choose to level the playing field.
Sign the pledge at care.org/pledge.
See, I ain't never been betrayed by an enemy. What? Yeah. See, I ain't never been betrayed by an enemy. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit cause I got my own now. I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, cause on everything I'ma have to bring the whole city out. Try me, and I'll probably end up laughing cause I never back down. I'm that chick with a clean ass whip. I don't need that shit cause I got my own now. I get tired of fussing, fighting, guess I gotta crack down. Don't mess with me, cause on everything I'ma have to bring the whole city out.
I know what you're thinking. Is this the booth, drafting the circuits, three-way theater, or the Kevin Jackson show? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kinda lost track myself here on whobazoo.com. So, do you feel lucky, punk?
The movie, music, news, television promos, trailers and videos used in this production are protected by the Fair Use Act. Section 107 of the Copyright Act. 1. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes. 2. The nature of the copyrighted work. 3. The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. 4. The effect of the use upon the potential market for, or value of, the copyrighted work.
Excuse me, I happened to be passing, and I thought you might like some coffee. Oh, that's very nice of you, thank you. Well, won't you sit down? Thank you. Cream? No, thank you, I take it black. Like my man.
Broadcasting from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts, with your host, Keith Sinister One Hayes.
All right, it's your boy Sinister One broadcasting live from the City of Champions. You are watching The Booth live. I have no guests on with me tonight, and I'm sitting here laughing to myself because there are some things that you just shouldn't do before you go live on the air. And that would be deciding to eat some of these Signature Select Trail Mix seasoned with Tapito. My Spanish is horrible. It's peanuts, almonds, and dried pineapple in lime with hot sauce, salsa picante seasoning. They're good, but I took a couple of handfuls before we went live. That little hot sauce thing got to my tongue before we went live. And of course we come in and I'm like, oh no. So, I gotta thank my guest for last week, Kevin Jefferies, aka Lito, the co-host of Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor podcast. I gotta thank him. He was on last week. He talked about Horror Hound Weekend. I really can't take a lot away from him because I really want you guys to tune in to Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor tomorrow night at 9:30. We might go at 9 if I can make that switch over in time after drafting the circuits. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but I can't talk about any of this stuff because it's all held for tomorrow night. It's all held for the shows tomorrow night. The F1 House team has announced that they're going to have a Godzilla livery for the Japanese Grand Prix. I'm talking about it a little bit tonight, but we're really going to get into detail tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on drafting the circuits. Then Kevin Jefferies Lito was at Horror Hound Weekend. We got some bumps from Lita, bumps from Killer Cross. We got the legendary Mick Foley to do a drop for the podcast. So we got all those three things to talk about. I was at Raw last night, but I'm saving all that discussion for tomorrow night for Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor podcast, so you guys can tune in. I don't want you guys to sit here and get all that info from me tonight, and then you don't tune in to watch Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor tomorrow night. I'll be very upset. And the only reason why we don't have Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor tonight is because I was at Raw last night, WWE Raw Boston last night. Didn't get home till almost like 1:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And of course, there's not much open, so I stop off at a Chinese food restaurant here in Brockton that's open super late and has some of the best Chinese. Y'all ever realize that the little smallest, dumpiest open forever places have the best food? Like the best. I've never, and this place I never really started going to until like 2 years ago when my place started going downhill and the ownership passed away and the food just went down. So I had to look for another Chinese spot close to home, that gives you that gritty, if you live in this inner city, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Chinese food, y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If I was to bring this food out and show you all how much they give you, you'd be like, damn. Damn. But no, it's great stuff. It was a good time. Like I said, tune in tomorrow, drafting the circuits, and then Turnbuckles and Spilt Liquor podcast. But I've got to thank my guest Lito for coming on last week. As you guys know, it was a good night last night. If you watched WWE Raw, it was a really good last night. It's good stuff. Ooh, Opa Femi again. Let me get into my sponsors and supporters. Michael Douglas Barreto, MDB Electronics. That's the guy I send my controllers to get fixed. If it's broken, within 24 to 48 hours, he will respond to all your emails. You can also pay for a lifetime warranty. So if you pay and he fixes it and it breaks and you have the lifetime warranty, you just send it back to him and he'll fix it, no charge, and gets it right back to you. Also, Vianna Marie, my music. Her music is out there, available everywhere, 494,000 streams. Push them up to 500,000. Make sure to follow her on Spotify or any of those sites that you see right there where you can get your streaming music. Tactical Target Systems. Support tacticaltargetsystems.com is where you want to go and check out and get those zombie targets. If zombie targets are not for you, hey, they got plenty of other targets there. They've got hostage targets. They've actually got some long range targets. So if you're going rifle shooting at the range, they've got targets for long range shooting for rifles. If you guys have never seen a target for rifle shooting, long range. It's side by side, different targets, and you shoot at different ranges and try to hit those targets from those ranges. And then it, when you pull it back in, and you can point up and get the points. Like if you see here on the zombie one here, there's points for different areas. On the zombie, that is critical areas. It tells you, wherever you hit it, the headshot's critical, and all these different stuff. So, it's good to have. It's good to learn. Also, I Love Boston Sports, Marlon Williams. I Love Boston Sports. Check him out at South Shore Plaza. And then Kimberly Ann Empowerment Photography. My artist Vienna Marie is featured there. Reach out to Kimberly Ann, ladies, if you want to take some photos that you never thought that you would take. Reach out to Kimberly Ann Empowerment Photography. And then my guy Daryl Smith, CEO of Underwatch Protective Services. If you need any type of security or armed guards, reach out to Underwatch Protective Services. And then call Larry, Handyman Services, Larry Simmons, 871@gmail.com. Congrats to my man Larry. Became a grandfather this weekend. So I wanted to give him a heads up, give him a shout out. So if you know Larry Simmons, give him a shout out and a congrats for becoming the grandfather this weekend. And I don't know if you guys saw, the trailer was just released August 1st. It will be Slingshots for Shriners, August 1st. We actually changed the date to August 1st so we don't keep conflicting with the Brothers Ride here in Brockton. So we want to make sure we support that. So that will take place on the Saturday before the last Saturday in July. Also, let's get into the news booth. In the news booth, family of 28. That just did that again. In the news booth, family of 28-year-old Lianes Brendao are looking for answers in a Sunday AM hit and run. Now, when they checked the cameras outside of the Cardozo Cafe, which is down here at the intersection, well, actually, it's not in the intersection. It's actually on Montello Street. So when you take that right off of Crescent on the Montello, Royal gas station's there, and then there's a little side street, and that's Cardozo Cafe is right there. The incident happened there. There was a fight. He was involved in the fight, and then they said from what they seen on the cameras, he was hit by a gray Jeep. And he was left there, and he died. 28 years old. So his family is looking for any type of information. So if you have any type of information in regards to this hit and run, because this is going to be considered a hit and run at this time, please make sure to reach out to the Brockton Police Department. Also, Everett's Auto Parts is celebrating their 75th anniversary. 75 years in the city of Brockton. I actually was employed by them for a short stint in 2010 to 2013 before I went and was called back to work in the transportation field. So big ups to Tom Android and Roy Andrade and the Andrade family and all the staff over there for reaching the 75-year anniversary of that establishment in the city of Brockton. I would love to get Tom on the show to talk about, the different things over the 75 years that have happened. I was actually there during a very fun period. I was there during the Cash for Clunkers, which was crazy. And then I was there for the Ford Windstar recall. If anybody's a mechanic or in the mechanic business or maintenance business, they can recall that Ford Windstar rear axle. It was a debacle because what had happened was Ford put a recall out. They had a couple of rear axles snap in the Ford Windstar vans, and they had a repair. They put a recall out and they said they were just going to repair it. And then they had an axle break and the guy got killed. It was bad. And that was when the person got killed. That was it. It was they condemned them all. They all had to come off the road. And if you had one, you immediately had to take it to Ford, and then Ford was going to, had to give you a brand new van. They had to give everybody new vans. And the vans that you turned in on the recall, they had to be junked. And then Ford had to show proof that they junked these vans to the government as part of the recall. So, junkyards across the country were getting this influx of all these Ford Windstar vans at their scales. It was crazy. It was insane. So, big ups to Everett's Auto Shop, Everett's Auto Parts, 75-year anniversary. Congrats to them. Make sure to head up there and check them out. And then in the news booth, we also just announced Brockton Public Schools. They're having their school committee meeting tonight, but they just announced that Good Friday, April, will be a full day of school. Last day of school will be June 26th. So after figuring out all the snow days that they lost due to the back-to-back blizzards, they have to make up so many days. They almost was going to have to lose April vacation, but they worked it out, and it looks like that there's only going to be a couple of days to make up because they really didn't use any of the snow days before these storms had came into play. So it's going to be Good Friday. I did see some people squawking about the fact that there's school on Good Friday. To be honest, when I was in school, we went to school on Good Friday. I mean, I can count on the days how many days we really had off. We didn't have as many days off as these kids have off, and these in-service half days. I'm like, damn, I wish I had all these half days and missed days of school. I wish I had all them. It was crazy. But yeah. Full day of school, Good Friday. I've seen some people upset about it. Some people are saying, well, I'm religious, I'm not sending my kid to school. Because that is, Good Friday is the Friday before Easter Sunday. So a lot of people used to utilize that as going, as a way to go away or whatever. It is what it is, but that's how they're doing it to make up the day. If you don't want to send your kid, don't send your kid. It's going to be a missed day. To be honest, on a day like that, most of the curriculums, they keep it light. So they're not going to miss much because they already know. It's just to make sure that they, to keep in compliance with that law, make sure that they have so many days of school that they attend. So we'll go from there. Also in the news booth, Brockton Public Schools settles on a new contract with the Paraprofessionals. They were grinding the pavement last year. I had stopped and saw them last summer, did an interview outside while they were standing in line. And they finally secured a new contract after a year. So hopefully it all works out. But it's glad to see that they got themselves settled, because the original contract that they had offered them with the raise, they would have ended up being on the back end and losing money because the insurance was going up. So they would have actually been losing money if they had agreed. So good job to them for staying up and fighting against them on this whole situation. So again, if you didn't hear, Brockton Public Schools settles on the new contract with the Paraprofessionals. Tonight is a school committee meeting, so that's probably one of the things that they're going to touch upon when they talk about that. In the entertainment booth, rest in peace, Nicholas Brendon of Buffy. He passed away at 54 in his sleep. As you guys know, he had a heart attack back in 2023, I think it was. He was on Criminal Minds, but I knew him as Xander. For me, he's Xander. I was a huge Buffy fan, and Xander was that guy. He was jealous of Spike. He was jealous of all the dudes on that show. Xander was. It was a pretty good role with Xander. But he had some mental health issues. He had some drug problems, but a lot of it was related to the heart attack, and I guess he had some spinal issues that played into that. So rest in peace, Nicholas Brendon, dead at 54. And then at 86, man, Chuck Norris. Wow. That's a tough one. So, it's like all of my childhood is just going away. I remember going down to the East Side Cinema, the old $2 cinema, and we would go see all the Chuck Norris movies after they had did their run in the major movies. If my dad hadn't taken me to see it, I would see it down here. And if I had to talk about, and I got my list. So I got to pull my list up because I actually did post the list on Facebook, and I should have actually took clips from those movies, and then I could have kind of had did a little countdown. But I'll do it. Let me pull this up right here. Let me pull this up. I'm just getting in here. My old post. I'm pulling up my old post. And, you know, for me, let me put this right here. For me, Chuck Norris was one of those original action stars in martial arts. And before Chuck Norris, to be honest, the action star was about to be Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was about to be the martial arts action star. Enter the Dragon had changed everything in Hollywood as we know it. And he was on the verge of becoming probably the biggest action martial arts star in the world. I mean, he already is. But I mean, what I'm saying is he was going to be, Bruce Lee was about to be bigger. And, you know, we lost Bruce Lee, and it turned into, well, we've got this martial art thing happening in the movies now. Who are we going to get to take that throne in martial arts? And Chuck Norris, who was featured in one of the Bruce Lee's older Chinese movies, Chuck Norris and him had a great fight scene. I say it was either Fist of Fury or Chinese Connection. I always get the two confused as to which one it is in. But they have a great fight scene. Look that up. And Chuck Norris kind of got that start there. And then, you know, everybody knows Chuck Norris for Lone Wolf McQuade, which, you know, was a great show. Great movie. But then they kind of took that Lone Wolf McQuade character and they spun it off on the TV, and he became, you know, Walker, Texas Ranger. And that show was just insane. That show was just huge. But for me, Chuck Norris, I have my top 5 movies, and I know my top 5 Chuck Norris movies are awkward and weird, maybe the order that they're in, but it is what it is. It's what it is. So number 5. My number 5 Chuck Norris movie of all time, Force of One. Force of One was a good one for me. That was one of the earlier films that he did. Then, you know, he signed that contract with Canon Films, and, you know, that Braddock character. Number 4, Missing in Action. And I think that spawned 2 Missing in Actions with Chuck Norris, and then I think David Dudicus or whatever, I think, took over that when that series continued. But Missing in Action, the Braddock story, that Missing in Action, that first one was right up there. And that was like kind of it was a kind of competed with Sylvester Stallone's Rambo. You know what I'm saying? But that Missing in Action was right there. Then you had The Octagon, which was a drive-in staple. Drive-in staple was The Octagon. That's my number 3. My number 2 Chuck Norris movie of all time. And I know this was probably a lot of people's number 1 movies. Well, no. I'm going to say a lot of people probably had Missing in Action as their number 1 or number 2. I'm going to say a lot of people probably had Missing in Action 1 or 2. But for me, number 2 was Lone Wolf McQuade. And I remember, I remember my dad, when they announced that movie was coming out, and I remember my dad was like religious about, we're seeing this movie when it opens. My dad used to take me all the way into Chinatown to see Bruce Lee movies and stuff back in the day. He would take me on Saturday afternoons. Me and my uncles and my dad, we'd go see the Bruce Lee movies when they got released right in Chinatown. And we would go, and, you know, that's when I really kind of first learned about Chuck Norris. And then Chuck Norris actually held some type of, I forget, he held some type of title or something, and that's why he was super well known. But Lone Wolf McQuade had this huge it had this huge onset controversy to the show. And the reason that it had this onset controversy on the show is because Lone Wolf McQuade was Chuck Norris. He was the main character. He was the hero of the movie. The villain of the movie was David Carradine. Great strategic casting, but it brought all types of controversy to the set. And the reason why it brought all this controversy to the set is because Chuck Norris, he hated David Carradine. He couldn't stand David Carradine. He really wanted to kick David Carradine in the chest and in the throat. He wanted to really throat punch him. The reason why is because Chuck Norris, who you all know, you know, as I said, he was in the film with Bruce Lee. Him and Bruce Lee were tight. They was close. They was friends. Chuck Norris learned stuff from Bruce Lee. He loved Bruce Lee. That was his boy. And David Carradine wasn't. David Carradine was the Hollywood whitewash that took Bruce Lee, for those who don't remember the show. So the show, if you saw the movie Dragon, you know all about this. Bruce Lee came up with the script and all of that for Kung Fu, the TV show Kung Fu. And he had wrote it out. It was supposed to be a Chinese guy and this and that. He presented it to Hollywood. And at that time, Bruce was Kato. Bruce was Kato on Batman. And then they spun that Green Hornet off of that. And if you guys saw Dragon, this was all in the movie. And Bruce had presented this to Hollywood, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is going to get made. All these people are telling him it's going to be this. And then when it came time for the announcement of the show, and the show was coming out, they whitewashed it. And they put David Carradine as this Western drifter in this role that was supposed to be written for Bruce. So David Carradine kind of stole and whitewashed this role from Bruce Lee. So Bruce Lee was pissed. And if you saw the scene, you know, in the movie, he was bullshit at the fact that Hollywood had did this to him. And Chuck Norris, when they did this movie, Lone Wolf McQuade, Chuck knew this. Chuck knew how Bruce had felt about this. And, you know, I guess David Carradine was kind of I want to say behind the scenes in Hollywood, I guess David Carradine was kind of a shitbag about the whole thing. So Chuck wasn't happy with David Carradine on the set. And it was so tense and so bad that even in the ending of the movie, David Carradine was going to walk off the film because he didn't want his screen to be seen on screen. He didn't want his death that was originally written for him to be on screen. So if you guys never saw, if you saw the movie Lone Wolf McQuade, you never see David Carradine's character die. You see him shooting, and then he runs and he goes behind the trail, and then they throw the grenade and the thing blows up. So you really don't even know if David Carradine's character dies in the movie Lone Wolf McQuade. You don't even know till this day, because David Carradine didn't want to be seen dying on film. And that also pissed Chuck Norris off, because David Carradine supposedly had this ego. He was a narcissistic dude. And Chuck didn't like him. And they were saying in some of the fight scenes that they had during this film, they were saying him and David Carradine were really, it was really going at it in this movie. Because, you know, these two guys, Chuck pretty much did all his own stunts. Chuck was training stuntmen. Before Chuck hit the screen, Chuck was a fight choreographer. He trained fight guys. He trained movie stars to do all this shit. So Chuck wasn't no fake dude. Chuck knew martial arts. He was awarded. It was all types of stuff that Chuck had did. So it's kind of crazy that, you know, David Carradine and him had this beef on screen. But if you look it up, it's all out there. Like I said, if you go see the movie Dragon about Bruce Lee's life, that's in there, and you know, it's well documented about this film. That's my number 2. Lone Wolf McQuade is my number 2, and I also think Lone Wolf McQuade was one of the first of the canon movie deals. Hold on, let me look this up real quick, people, because Chuck Norris had a lot of movies under canon, and I think I don't think Lone Wolf McQuade was the first, but let me look this up. For a little while there, Chuck canon movies had a ton of just action martial arts. So Missing in Action, Invasion USA, and Delta Force. So Lone Wolf McQuade was not part of the canon movies. Lone Wolf McQuade, let me look that up. That wasn't canon. That was 83. All right, so MGM has the rights, but was it MGM when that movie came out? I'm looking this up right now. Orion Pictures. So that was 83. Orion Pictures. And that was a good picture too. It was good. So my number 1 Chuck Norris film though is probably I'm gonna say that my number 1 Chuck Norris movie is probably, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that my Chuck Norris number 1 film of all time is probably not on anybody's list at all. That's what I'm going to assume I'm going to think about right now. If you hit me up and you say, hey, Keith, hey, Sinister One, that movie was on my list. That's my number 1 movie. I'll be super surprised. Super surprised. Because my number 1 Chuck Norris movie of all time is... And this is a crazy one. This is a crazy one because it was different. It was like somebody sat at a table and had to pitch a movie and said, "Hey, I want to make a horror. I want to make." It was like somebody must have said, "I want to make," because I think this was just after Halloween. They said. We want to make a Chuck Norris meets Michael Myers movie. This is kind of what I think was probably pitched with this movie. Somebody probably was sitting there, maybe smoked a little weed or something, sat at, and they got in there and they said, "Hey, I got an idea for a movie pitch. What about a Chuck Norris meets Michael Myers?" And everybody might have looked at each other at that table at the pitch and probably said, "Hey, this could work." And it did. For me it worked because it's my number 1 Chuck Norris movie of all time. And that movie is Silent Rage. And if you guys never saw it, if you guys never heard of it, the acting isn't bad at all. The whole synopsis of this movie is that there's this dude, he's a serial killer, and he ends up getting this injection. They end up doing something with his DNA, but what it does is they kind of make this serial killer into like Wolverine. Like you can cut this dude and he heals. There's a scene where they cut him where he's actually dead. I think he dies. I think the serial killer actually dies. and then they test the stuff on him, and he actually comes back to life. I gotta watch it again because it's a badass movie. So what it is this serial killer who actually Chuck Norris actually has killed comes back, and he's like Wolverine now. Like, he's still a serial killer, but he can't be killed. If you stab him, he heals. And Chuck Norris has to fight this guy and take this guy out. So the movie's called Silent Rage. It's a badass film. I'm telling you, it's a badass film. And the dude that plays the serial killer, the creepy serial killer, he like, when you see him, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I know that dude. Because the dude plays the creepy serial killer in like every movie he's in. He's typecasted as the creepy serial killer. He doesn't talk. He's just like Michael Myers without the mask. The role is Michael Myers without the mask. This guy plays. That's pretty much it. He's in a mental health suit because he escapes from the mental health place or the morgue or whatever. But he's still in the suit. So it's a great film. Chuck Norris I forget who the girlfriend was in the film, but she becomes the one that's distressed, and it's a good film. Look it up, Silent Rage. That's my number one Chuck Norris movie of all time. Like I said, don't hate me because I'm admitting that I know that movie is probably not on anybody's top 5 Chuck Norris movies of all time. I'm gonna assume it's not. So, rest in peace to Chuck Norris. Also, Sinister One Productions is now on Substack. I got to thank Michelle for showing me that and hooking me up with that and giving me some knowledge and allowing me to do my homework. So, Michelle, thank you very much. I signed up for Substack over the weekend, and I'm going to start trying to push some content over there. I'm actually going to put the link up because I can't go. I don't think I can go live on there yet. I think I can, but not through Restream. I don't think Substack and all that's on Restream as an option yet. So I have to post the link, or I would have to rebroadcast the show live on I got to figure out. But I'm on Substack, so if you guys are over there, check me out. It's a little bit different over there. You might see more political stuff, conversations, and things of that stuff over there on Substack. Also, fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out. So you see all these stories about Reacher star Alan Ritchson, and he's also, he's a DC guy. He was Flash in Smallville. He was in Doom Patrol. I think he was in Hawk and Dove. I think they were in Doom Patrol. But now he's Jack Reacher on the show Reacher. And he's accused of attacking his neighbor, Ronnie Taylor. But you got to watch the story. You got to read. Don't go into the headlines and start feeding into the clickbait, the crazy headlines, because this is a true fuck around and find out story. A true fuck around and find out story. Because no charges were filed because it was a fuck around and find out story. So Jack Reacher, this dude trains. He learns how to fight. He's got to make fighting look real. So guess what? He's training to act fighting, but guess what? That carries over to the fact that if you're just a normal, regular douchebag guy, you're gonna fuck around and find out because he's got some little bit of skills. So Alan Ritchson and he's one of these celebrities. He lives in one of these gated communities. And Alan is riding around the neighborhood on his motorcycle, or it looks like one of them smaller bikes, with his kids, and they're riding their bikes with him. So I guess a neighbor isn't happy with him, says his bike's too loud, and feels he might be speeding. So when Alan comes back around, the neighbor, Ronnie Taylor, snatches Alan off the bike as he's going by, and he falls on the ground. Then when Alan goes to get up, the dude is, you already fucked around and found out when you tried to snatch Jack Reacher off a motorcycle, first and foremost. You trying to snatch Jack Reacher off a motorcycle is a fuck around and find out moment to begin. All right? So he snatched him off the bike, he fell on the ground, he gets up, and then he starts shoving him. Now, he's there in front of his kids. This dude's assaulting him in front of his kids. So what happens? Jack Reacher mode kicks in. And if you guys go and watch the video, I'm not gonna lie, he puts a Jack Reacher beatdown on his neighbor, Ronnie Taylor, who's out there now showing off the pictures of his face and all this shit. But no charges have been filed. This dude, Ronnie, is probably going to have to go after him civilly. But the fact is, the video kind of exonerates Alan Ritchson, Jack Reacher. So it's I don't know if this guy has a case, even civilly, where he was the aggressor first, and you're the aggressor of this guy while he's with his kids. So most people are going to say, hey, I don't know who this nitwit is. I don't know who this numbskull is, but if he's snatching me off my bike, what's he going to do to my kids? And as a dad, I got to protect my kids. And I don't think there's any jury or anybody who's going to say, well, that didn't go through your mind. Because it's 99% of the people on a jury or judge is going to say, yeah, that's what's going to go through your head. In this day and time, you don't know what these people are going to do when they come out their house and snatch you off of something when you got your kids with you. So, hey, Ronnie Taylor, he gets to fuck around and find out award of the week for yanking Jack Reacher off his bike, off his motorcycle in front of his kids, and getting the beat down. So, damn. Also, Marvel just had a week. These 2 weeks, if you're a Marvel fan, these 2 weeks have been crazy. So earlier today around lunchtime, Marvel Studios TV, Marvel Television, which is Disney Plus, drops the flyer for The Punisher, One Last Kill. Which we all know The Punisher is in. We saw the trailer, Spider-Man Brand New Day, which you're about to see. We already know The Punisher is in Brand New Day. But the reason why this is you got to look at the date and the timing of this. Punisher One Last Kill is a one-shot show, and it's going to be released on Disney Plus May 12th. Why is that important? Because Daredevil Born Again Season 2 comes out on March 24th, which we already know Frank Castle, the Punisher, is part of this series. We also know that a lot of people are coming back for this season of Daredevil, including the Defenders. So we're looking at this as like, okay, what is this one final kill about? Is this one final kill going to tie into Daredevil Season 2 Born Again? Or is it tying him into the Brand New Day Spider-Man trailer that we're going to see? I don't know. I'm confused. I think maybe it links, maybe Punisher is the link that's going to link Daredevil to Spider, because there's a picture that's on my page where Spider-Man is jumping down at the foot. No, at the hand. The foot is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who's the spinoff of the hand. So it's the Red Ninjas. And Spider-Man is jumping off a building heading into these ninjas. But if you look at the other ninjas below, the top ninjas, those ninjas are looking straight ahead at something else. And many people are saying that it's Daredevil and Punisher who's supposed to be in that picture along with Spider-Man. If so, that's going to be crazy because, let's see. Because here's the trailer for Daredevil Born Again.
I can't believe our first hit in my team. MJ, come on, pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever been in your entire life.
I can't.
I knew it!
Fisk, he's hunting us. Maybe it's time we started hunting them. Can you stop him?
We could use more people like you. Can't make any promises. I'm gonna take this city back.
All right, so that was Daredevil's trailer. I almost leaked. I didn't want to play Spider-Man first. I almost played Spider-Man before that. I had to get that off. But that's Daredevil, and as you guys see, the defenders are some of the defenders are back in there, and we're waiting to see this army because Punisher's possibly supposed to be part of this army, and I'm ready to see. So now, fast forward, we have the trailer released this week for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And the trailer breaks a record. The trailer becomes the first movie trailer to cross 1 billion views. Now, the Spider-Man trailer was just released, like Thursday. 1 billion views over the weekend for the Spider-Man trailer. So if you haven't seen it, here it is right here.
I can't believe our first hit MIT! MJ, come on, pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever been in your entire life.
I can't.
I knew it!
Hi, my name is Peter Parker. You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget about me. Because I'm not just Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man.
The hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Quit your whimpering. Suit yourself. Mother.
Go home! And sometimes Spider-Man has to do the hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart. What is happening to me?
Oh, God.
Excuse me, Dr. Banner. I need your help.
What did you say your name was? If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
Spiders have 3 life cycles. When between cycles, it can leave the spider vulnerable to threats.
We are faced with a danger that we can't control. One we can't even see. Stay out of my way.
You're losing it, kid.
And for those spiders who make it through.
All right, so that was Spider-Man Brand New Day. And if you guys paid attention to that trailer, you saw the actual first cover that Spider-Man was featured on. That shot was in there. If you also saw that scene with Tarantula, that was one of the covers of Spider-Man when Tarantula first appeared, where he's coming across and his toe spike is cutting that side there. Then there was another scene there where Spider-Man is realizing that he's mutating. That happened in the comic book. So all of this stuff in Brand New Day is right to the comic book. We're leading into Secret Wars. I cannot wait for this film. But again, congrats to breaking the world record of 1 billion views over the weekend for that trailer. That is just insane, crazy. So I can only imagine what people are going to look. And, a lot of people, I feel like I'm happy with the fact that Spider-Man was released from Sony. Well, it's still part of Sony, but I'm glad that they allowed Marvel to work and build Spider-Man what it is today, because there was this lawsuit. I think the lawsuit was all bad press to create a buzz, but they knew they needed Spider-Man for Endgame and all of that storyline, because he was part of that in the comic book. They knew going into Secret Wars they were going to need Spider-Man for that. So, you know, big ups to Sony for allowing that. They could have been complete douchebags and never allowed Fox and them to get the, you know, the rights to use Spider-Man. So big ups. It's a big, I don't think people realize how big of a deal that really was, that happened and went down. In the sports booth, big congrats to Brockton's Kevin Walsh. He won by split decision over Mike Conlon over in Belfast last week for the WBC International Featherweight title. I was watching that fight, and I'll tell you, I was watching that fight, and at the end of 7, going into the 8th, I had Conlon ahead by like, almost 2 points. Not a lot, but by 2 points. That's 2 touches more than him. We get into the 8th round, and it was a back and forth, but I gave the 8th round to Kevin Walsh. And at that time, I felt like, okay, this is a close fight, but I still feel like Walsh might be down by like 1 going into the 9th, because he really started coming into it around the 8th round. 9th round hits, and I gave 9th round to Walsh. I said, okay, we're in the territory right now where this could end up maybe a draw. And I'm like, I don't want to draw. I don't want to draw. So we come out of 9, we go into 10, and I'm like, okay, it's either headed into a draw, or maybe there's a possibility he needs to knock this dude out to win, because usually in boxing, in order to take somebody's title, you usually got to beat the shit out of them. And yeah, he had him leaking early on, but you know how it is. Usually you got to really take it to somebody to take that belt from them. In the 10th round, Walsh really turned it on. He had him up against the ropes. He had a good flurry, scored a lot of points, I think, on that one. And when that 10th round bell rang and ended that fight, I was like, oh, okay. I feel like if it stays with the 2, he's not going to win. But I'm like, but there's a good chance after these last 3 rounds. I'm like, and I posted, it's on my page. I said, I'd like to see a split decision. But I didn't think we was getting the split decision, because I know how boxing can be sometimes. And when they announced, I think the first judge was 97-93, and that was Conlon, 97-93. So that judge kind of saw, well, he didn't see almost what I saw. He saw, I don't know what he was seeing, but he saw something else. But the other 2 judges had it just the flip of what I felt, 96-94, 96-94. I had that, but I had that in the 7th round. I had that for Mike Conlon in the at the end of the 7th. So I'm like, damn, okay, so they got the 2, because I felt he got back. So when they announced the winner and knew, I was like, whoa, he's getting a split. He's getting a split decision. Holy shit. And he did. He got the split decision. And I was like, maybe we'll see a rematch here, because Mike's going to want that rematch. But nah, Mike doesn't want a rematch. Mike Conlon has announced retirement. He is not looking for a rematch. So Kevin Walsh is the new WBC featherweight champion. He went right after Shushu. He wants him. That's who he wants next. Let's go. And I'd love to see that fight here in Brockton. Love to see that fight either here in Brockton or here in Boston. So Kevin Walsh, big ups to him, man. Brockton has just added another title to its legacy. Brockton putting fighters out. We up there. We like Detroit, bro. Because they were here at Raw, and so this is big. The press sometimes